Hello, hello, hello. We are back, okay? After our little break and having to break because we can't stay on the whole time. But, my friends, we are back, okay? Well, if you are just tuning in, which is absolutely quite possible, okay? This is the Miss Hope's Reading Hour. Um, just a moment. Let me get all of the sites back on. Make sure I see the peoples. Let me see. All right. So, oh yes, there I am. All right. So, we are in time block number 5. We are this close to the end, my friends. Can you believe it? That we are up and 2 people are watching. Come on now. Come on, people who are sticking in. Now, one thing that I that I realized about when I'm on, especially with Miss Hope's Reading Hour during the regular time at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. One thing I realized is that sometimes when you see how many people are watching, there are actually possibly more people watching, which just seeing someone watching is super promising. Okay. So happy to be back on with you guys for our 5 block. Okay. Um, so if it is your first time tuning in today, let me let you know who I am, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. Okay. So I am Miss Hope, and this is the Miss Hope's Reading Hour 24-hour Read and Raise-A-Thon. Okay. So if you've never heard of Miss Hope's Reading Hour, Miss Hope's Reading Hour was a creation of 2 things: a creation of God and a creation of my love for children. So, once everything broke out with the pandemic and schools here in Philadelphia were closed, I think about March 16th of last year of 2020. And I'm safe to say most of us who worked in the school district of Philadelphia, we were like, oh, we'll probably be back in a month. We'll be back in a month. And then a month, no, we'll be back in 2 weeks. That's what some of us were saying. And then 2 weeks went by, and we're like, maybe we'll be back in a month. Then a month went by, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't think we're going to be back anytime soon. So I kind of went through kid withdrawal. I went through withdrawal from my kids because I have 2 jobs in the same school building. I work with special needs children during the day. Then at 3:09, I walk down some steps and walk down a hallway, and I have a group all to myself in an after school program in the ACE after school program. ACE stands for Artistic and Cultural Enrichment Program. So I missed all of my kids. And because of that, I was like, God. Oh, yeah. The other thing I was thinking was, how are children handling this? How are my kids handling this? What do they think? How are they feeling? Are they scared? Are they nervous? Are they wondering what's happening? Is everything fine in their homes? And so, honestly, I was praying, okay? And I was like, God, what do I do? I feel so helpless. I can't do anything for them. And just like a seed, he dropped the idea of Miss Hope's reading hour right in here. And so I was like, great, I can do that. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I can do that. But the kicker was I had no books. All of my books were at school. So my nephew, he shared his old books with me. And those were my first books, okay? And my sister actually was my first donor. So she was the first person to donate funds to me to be able to buy books for the reading hour. Um, and so that is how Miss Hook's Reading Hour started, okay? And as well, um, this idea of the Miss Hope's Reading Hour 24-hour read and raise a thon. So earlier, last year near Christmas, I did something called the 12 Days of Donations. So people could go to these different organizations every time I came on the last 12 broadcasts of the year before Christmas. I decided, maybe I can do something where I'm reading, but I'm also bringing awareness to all of these great organizations in Philadelphia, in the United States, and around the world who help to deal with food insecurity and hunger. So each broadcast, I highlighted an organization and told people, this organization does great work, and maybe you should go on and donate. Miss Hope's Reading Hour is going to donate too. So I don't know who may have donated to the 12 days of donations. Hopefully, if you are part of the Miss Hope's Reading Hour family, you did donate something. And but Miss Hope's Reading Hour absolutely did donate to all 12 of the organizations. Um, and so once it came up on a year, it has been over a year, y'all. Over a year. We started on April the 13th of 2020. And April the 13th of 2021 was our 1 year anniversary, our 1 year birthday. Okay. So I was like, what should I do to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the beginning of Miss Hope's Reading Hour? And once again, like he always does, God dropped a little seed and said, maybe you should do something where you're raising money again. And so I was like, okay. And 24 hours came to me, and I'm like, a read-a-thon, because I've always, so Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, because I know there's a Philadelphia, Mississippi, but Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in Pennsylvania, there is a college, a university, Penn State, and they do this awesome thing called Thon, where they raise money for childhood cancer. And I have always been a little obsessed with it. Okay. So I wanted to do my own type of thon. And here we are, our 24-hour read a thon. Okay. So that is why we did the Read and Raise a Thon, because we wanted to read books to celebrate our 1 year anniversary of bringing literacy into the homes of so many families who have decided that they want to join us. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We were on Periscope, but unfortunately, Periscope is no more. Mm. So, if there's another platform that you think that would be good to be on, please do let me know, because I've been looking. I'm like, well, I want to replace Periscope, but I don't know what to replace it with. Okay. So, um, if you know of a platform that would be really good, please, oh, please, oh, please do let Miss Hope know, and I will look into it. Okay. So, that is how all of this started. Okay. So, welcome, welcome, welcome to those of you who are tuning into the number 5 block. So, from now until 4 a.m., that's the number 5 block, okay, of the Miss Hope's Reading Hour 24-hour Read and Raise a Thon, my friends. So, if this is your first time being here, I want to share some videos about the awesome organizations that we are raising money for with this GoFundMe. Please go to it, and it's in the chat too, so you can get it out of the chat. Also, if I have some night owls who have some children's reading material that is appropriate and you can be respectful, please do log into the StreamYard that is also in the chat so that you can come on and be a guest reader. So, I want to know what your book is first and what it's about, okay? And that it's appropriate for kids and that you're respectful, not doing anything crazy, because Miss Hope kick you right out. We haven't had to do that this whole time out of our first 4 blocks. So let's not have to do it overnight. Okay? All right. So, first, before we do that, I want to, no, I think we will share the videos first. We will share the videos first about these awesome organizations that the GoFundMe money will be going to. It will be an even 3-way split. An even 3-way split between these 3 awesome organizations. So let me cue up the video for that. So let's see. Let me pause the ambiance and screen. All right. Just a moment.
Really truly benefited my son in so many different ways. Action for Early Learning really truly benefited my son in so many different ways.
My name is Maria Walker, and I'm Project Director for Drexel University's Action for Early Learning. Action for Early Learning is a Drexel-led collaboration of social service, educational, and community agencies working together to create a support system for families in West Philadelphia, particularly in the Promise neighborhood, to increase quality education improvement.
I'm representing Delaware Valley Association for the Education of Young Children as the Alliance Manager for Action for Early Learning. Action for Early Learning Alliance for Child Care Managers is made up of 23 early childhood programs in West Philadelphia. We bring the center directors together along with teachers sometimes to the Dornsife Center. And our focus and goal is assisting the early childhood programs in continuous quality improvement.
It helped with my staff with professional development, management for classrooms. I was able to grow within the last 3 years being part of Alliance and having great mentors, working with our facility. It's helping Taylor's Learn Academy to prepare our children for a better future.
Teachers and directors are trained to make sure that young children ready for kindergarten.
It's a big difference because that child who has not used early childhood education, he starts off behind.
Action for Early Learning has a very strong focus on early literacy.
Functional literacy is on the rise, and we need not let these children from 0 to 8 that's coming up right now be that way.
So we were able to have a partnership with Read-A-Thon. Their dream and our dream was just to get books in the hands of every single organization that had touch with children.
To just improve the quality of the centers wouldn't be enough. If the community didn't buy into it, and if parents didn't understand the reason why it's important to improve those centers, the children wouldn't benefit from the work. People's Emergency Center created an excellent cohort of family ambassadors to spread the word about the need for families and caregivers and parents to make sure that their children are attending high quality centers.
Family ambassadors are very good. They come out to each event that we have at the center to talk to the parents and have the parents get engaged with whatever activities we have going on, whichever information they have in reference to childcare. Talk to the parents one-on-one.
They get firsthand knowledge how to not just help themselves and help their children, but they get a chance to help other children through their experiences. It takes a village to raise a child. Everybody has to be involved.
It is not a thing where everybody's separated, everybody's different, but we're all of like minds and we're communicating and we're able to help one another out. The biggest goal for me is just community.
The biggest goal is community. That is the goal for us to all work together to make sure that these wonderful children and these wonderful programs are helping to make children ready for excuse me, to make children ready for kindergarten, to go to regular traditional school. And so we need high quality early childhood education centers and for parents to buy in. So that is what Action for Early Learning does. Thank you, Miss Rachel, for that comment at the end and for coming on today to be a guest reader. We enjoyed you so much. All right, so let me show you the video about the Ronald McDonald House Charities. I really love sharing this one about how it even began. I'm right here in the city of Philadelphia and didn't know. So let me cue that up for you guys. All right, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, that's what it was. Okay. So let me share my screen. Yeah. There we go.
Thank you, Nisha. It's a very big day here at CBS 3. I'm in our great hall where we've just kicked off our Ronald McDonald House Charities Telethon. We've got folks here waiting for the phones to ring. The number is on your screen. It's 1-844-977-CBS3. Tina is waiting for this phone to ring. Make a donation now and help change the life of a child. You may not realize this, but the first Ronald McDonald House in the world was here in Philadelphia. It all started off, indeed. And it all started due to the Eagles and a girl with leukemia. It all began in 1969. Eagles tight end Fred Hill's daughter Kim had been battling leukemia. Fortunately, her treatment was successful, and when Hill returned to work, he approached his co-workers about raising money to fight the disease. They called their effort Eagles Fly for Leukemia. Eagles owner Leonard Toast pledged $1 million, certain that general manager Jimmy Murray could raise the money. Dr. Audrey Evans accepted the first check.
I walked in, I said, Dr. Evans, Jim Murray, Philadelphia Eagles. She said, what are they? I said, well, we're the football team. I said, we're on television. I said, I told you. And I said, well, we have some cash.
Years later, Dr. Evans recounted the conversation in their first meeting.
It started when we were in the old children's hospital, which was crowded and cramped, and there was nowhere for parents to stay, so they slept by the bed or somewhere in the hall. And I thought we needed somewhere where they could stay together. And actually, that's what came about.
At the time, McDonald's was about to introduce green shakes for St. Patrick's Day. Murray suggested an Eagles promotion to raise cash.
I said, how can I get a quarter from each milkshake? That's all I wanted was a quarter.
Franchise owners in Philly had an even better idea. Name the house for their clown mascot, and McDonald's would give him every cent. The Shamrock Shake was a hit, and on October 15th, 1974, the first Ronald McDonald House was dedicated on Spruce Street. By 1981, they'd outgrown the house and moved into a 100-year-old Victorian-era mansion on Chestnut Street.
It was somebody's home at one time.
John Newman has been volunteering here for 22 years.
We had 19 rooms in here, and we had the living rooms over here, and we had a kitchen down in the back. People who originally owned the house, they had their child space carved into.
Wow, that's this?
Into that, yep.
And who would know that this meant so much to so many people with children?
Right. Yep.
Decades and decades later.
By 1995, even the mansion was getting cramped. Our Pat Cherokee reported on a $4 million expansion project.
Right now, capacity is 19 families, but that barely scratches the surface of the need that exists. The $4 million expansion project will add 24 new rooms.
Now, decades later, what started as a boost from the Eagles has grown steadily. After all,
it's a Philly story. It's the best of Philly.
You can say that.
Wow. Started from the Shamrock Shake. There are people who are at the Shamrock Shake has a cult following. Okay. I don't think I have ever had a Shamrock Shake. I don't think I've ever had one from McDonald's, but there are some people who every year around St. Patrick's Day, doesn't matter if you're Irish or not, they're like, we waiting for the Shamrock Shake to come out. I wonder if all of that money still goes to the Ronald McDonald House charities, all the money from the Shamrock Shakes. I wonder. That is something I'm going to have to research and find out. Okay, so let me share with you, excuse me, the last video about Heifer International. So this is the one that we shared in the beginning, block number 1 of our broadcast. And I want to share it with you guys because, like I said, when I'm asking people to donate money, I want them to know where their money is going, that they are sowing their money into good ground. I want them to know that. So here is the video about Heifer International.
This is Alton Brown for Heifer International. And I used to have a goat. All right, maybe it wasn't a goat. Maybe it was a cow or a water buffalo or a sheep or a llama or trees or chickens or even bees. In which case, a leash would seem perhaps odd. Okay, my goat's not really missing. It went to a family somewhere in the world or even here at home. It went to people who really needed it. But why a goat, you might ask, or a cow or a water buffalo or bees? Why not send tractors if you want to help? Well, first, because in most of the places of the world where Heifer works, the nearest gas station is a very long way off. And gas probably costs about $1,000 a liter. As for a mechanic, well, that's like in the next country. And let's face it, an animal has a much better engine, one that can move people's lives. You turn it on, it gives you milk or wool or eggs. It plows fields, it produces, how can I say this politely, fertilizer that makes crops grow. It's like giving someone a small business because all of those products, the milk, the wool, the eggs, turn into income for medicine, school, clothing, a better home, a sustainable livelihood. And the animals produce livestock because, animals make baby animals. That's what they do. Try that with a tractor sometime. Anyway, the next thing you know, the family is passing on the gift, sharing the animal's offspring and the training that came with it with another family who does the same thing, and so does the next family and the next, until pretty soon you've helped to lift a whole community out of poverty. Cool, huh? You see, Heifer International isn't just about animals and training. It's about the amazing things that happen when people realize they can stand strong all on their own, like the resourcefulness and skills they discover, the communities that grow, the attitudes that change. It's amazing. Suddenly, hope happens, and it's like somebody turned on a switch. And you know what else is amazing? It's the power you have to make the lasting change happen all over the world every day. That's where my goat went. And that's what you start with one gift to Heifer International, a gift that grows, and maybe the best, hardest working gift you'll ever give. And that, my friends, is a recipe for lasting change.
Wow, I love that video. First of all, I love Alton Brown. Okay. So because I watch I think it's the Food Network, or yeah, watch that all the time. Been obsessed with cooking shows ever since I was a little kid, watching the PBS shows with my aunt who was a chef. So I love Good Eats with Alton Brown. And what he said in the video, when he said that it gives people hope and shows them, you know what? No, I am not this person who's just weak and can't do anything for myself. I actually can learn these skills, and not only learn these skills and learn how to take care of these animals, learn how to use this farm equipment, learn these, from the instruction that I get on how to take care of these things. When it multiplies, I can actually share it with someone else so that they can do the same thing. And something that I share can help to uplift my community. So that is what Heifer International does, not just all around the world, but even here in the United States. As we go on in this block, I will be sharing other videos about what these organizations do. So welcome back, Cousin Shelley. So glad you came back. Welcome, Sir Anthony, for tuning in with us in our number 5 block. And I do have a video to share with you all of one of our guest readers, Miss Lisa Dean. I'm so glad that she was able to get her video in, and I want to share that with you all. So let me share my screen for our first guest reader of this block. Let me see. Okay. Here we go. So we gotta cut the ambiance and let Miss Lisa read. There we go.
Hello, my name is Lisa Dean, and I'm going to read Calm Down Time by Elizabeth Burdick. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm mad. Sometimes I start to scream and shout. I want my feelings out. It's calm down time. I see you're upset. I'm here, so take a deep breath. I can breathe in and out while I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm taking care of me. 1, 2, 3. I'm taking care of me. My calm down place is a quiet space for me to take a break. I can cry to feel better. I might say, hug me, please, or hold me, please. Or I can put my arms around myself to give my body a squeeze. If I want to, I can rock back and forth or side to side and sing a quiet song. If I want to, I can talk. My words tell how I feel. My words help me to calm down. I breathe 1, 2, 3. I'm calm as can be. I'm taking care of me. After a break, I feel like new, and so can you. The end. Calm Down Time by Elizabeth Burdick. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lisa Dean. Thank you so much for sharing Calm Down Time. That is a really good book because sometimes we do need a calm down time, okay? Sometimes we need to get by ourselves, calm ourselves down, and relax. Usually, when I was at school, and right before I had to go to the after school program, if I had had a particularly trying day during the day with my students, I would go into a room, well, really the room that I used after school, and I would go in the room and I would turn all the lights off and I would do some breathing exercises, or I would watch something really funny that I liked online for maybe about 10 minutes. So if it was a TV show, if it was a comedian, I would watch something really funny to help me get all of my tension out so I could laugh and smile and get my tension out. Sometimes I would do both things, and that would be my calm down time. And so we all have to learn what our calm down time looks like, because even though you think you feel calm, if you haven't had a calm down time, it's kind of still like a knot. You never know how tight you are because of the stress that you're going through until you sit down and you try to relax and you're like, ow, that hurts, because you've kind of been tight with all of that tension. That's not just for adults, that's for the young ones as well. If you teach them how to do a calm down time when they're young, when things happen as they get older, they won't be ready to just be out there and fight and scream and say mean and nasty things. They'll be like, okay, let me calm myself down before this gets out of hand. You teach them how to do that? That'll be great. All right, so there was a book that I thought of that matched calm down time. So it's not that you're calming down, but let me see if I can find that book. So if you see me leaning over, remember you guys, I got lots of books all over the place, okay? I need to find that book. Let's see. No, that's not it. No, I think that it's over here. Because I kind of loosely had some piles to say what books are what. So let me see. No, that's not the one. Oh, these are the books that I wanted. Let me put this book here because I do want to read that book too. Oh, wait a minute, I want to read this book too. See? Listen, friends. It was very hard choosing what books to bring up from my stash in the basement. Do you want to know why? Because I fell in love with all of the books, okay? And so I was like, oh, this is a good book. This would be great to read. Then I'm like, well, I think this one would be great. And I think this one would be awesome. So I wish I could show you a picture of what it looks like around me right here and around my feet. So many books, y'all. Oh, wait a minute. No. Wait a minute. Oh no, I lost one of my computers. So, I'm going to read this book and then I'm going to turn my computer back on. Lost one of them. Okay, so, talking about calm down time and sometimes thinking about our mood and how we're feeling. So that's why I wanted to share this book with you guys. While Miss Lisa was reading, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I know just the book to follow this up with. So give me a moment so I can get my music for... Oh, wait a minute. Let me pause that music and get this music.
Jogging while black is not a crime. John Fetterman claimed.
Sorry for the commercial break in the music. All right, so the book I am going to read for you right now is called My Cold Plum Lemon Pie Bluesy Mood. My Cold Plum Lemon Pie Bluesy Mood. This book is by Tamika Fryer Brown, illustrated by Shane W. Evans, and this is a scholastic book. I'm in a mood, a feeling kind of mood, a being kind of mood is what I'm in. A purple kind of mood, cold plum eating, grape juice drinking on the couch, bobbing to the beat kind of mood. A purple kind of mood. That's what I'm in. Now I'm headed to a gray kind of place. Storm brewing inside. That I hide because I don't want any trouble space. Dark and swelling, looming, gloomy gray kind of place. That's what I'm in. That looks like a older brother that's getting on my nerves kind of place. Slowly I ease into a gentle green, a dragon dancing in the jungle on some jello green, little sis smiling really wide green. Even let her kiss my cheek, easy green mood. That's what I'm in. Jamie, can you draw me a dragon? Oh, how sweet. It's crayon time. Mad. So mad. Turns black. Black hole inside. Screams, take it back. But I swallow that. Stop. No more hugs. Brooding black mood. That's what I need. Oh, man, leave him alone. That's why little sister likes him better anyway. Yo, Jay, let's hit the court. Be back before dark. Bop, bop, bit, bat, bat. Orange mood, moving, schooling to the hoop. Swish. Jay in your face, doing what I do. Splish. Fake left. Slide right. Swish and swish. Sweet orange mood, that's what I'm in. Oh no, the street lights. I'm gonna be late. Red, run, gotta get home. Fire engine roaring down the street, hot flames shooting from my feet. Don't stop to take a breath till I make it through the door. Red. Raced in the dark and made it in.
Fetterman claimed he heard gunshots and then chased and detained an innocent unarmed black man.
Nope. So sorry for that.
Now, John.
Let's skip that. Back to the music. Wash your hands, everybody. Dinner's ready. Shake me, shove me into brown. This time I won't be pushed around. Planted, fierce, not backing down. Big, strong, brown. I win. Oh, I'll get you. Now. Smells good. Watch out. Hey, I was there. Rowdy, hungry, yellow mood. Dinner full of payday food. Baked corn, bless this meal. Curry chicken, that's my piece. Loud talk, laughter, lemon pie, lively yellow mood. That's what we're in. Your turn to wash the dishes, Jamie. That's cool. Cool blue, okay? Time with myself in my own space. Hands swirling round in liquid peace, sailing on waves in the sky of my mind, a bluesy kind of mood. That's what I'm in. Yeah, I'm in a mood, a feeling kind of mood, a being kind of mood, a being kind of mood is what I'm in. A living, breathing, cold plum eating, being kind of mood. That's what I'm in. The end. Oh, I love this book. I like this book. I like it when some authors put a color to the way that you're feeling. So, to put a color to it, I've actually done art projects with students, asking them to put a color to how they're feeling. So, how would you draw angry? What color would you draw it? What color would you draw sad or frustrated or excited? And so I like this book because it makes you think, so what is a brown mood like? What's a black mood like? What is a cold plum mood like? Now, I have had cold plums before. Cold plums are kind of refreshing. So I can see a cold plum, purple kind of mood. Really like that book. Just a second, my friends. I have to turn this computer back on so that I can see my Facebook friends. All right, so wait a minute. What was the book I wanted to read next? Let me find it. Oh, yes, it's back there. Oh, you know what? I know what book I want to read first. So, since our first organization is West Philadelphia Action for Early Learning, I want to read this book first. And it is a true story, okay? It's a true story. Just a minute. Let me get back to Miss Hope's Reading Hour page. Hello, I'm back. All right, so I want to read this book because it is a true story and it talks about the power of literacy. So this book is called The Oldest Student. How Mary Walker Learned to Read. This book is by Rita Lorraine Hubbard and Caldecott Honor winner Oge Mora is the illustrator. The Oldest Student. I read this book and was like, whoa, really? So let me take the dust jacket off. Woo-hoo. This is a Swartz and Wade Books book. think I'm missing a page. These pages are a little thicker, so sometimes it makes you think, maybe I missed a page. Whenever young Mary Walker was tired, she would shield her eyes from the sun and watch the swallow-tailed kites dip and soar above the trees. That must be what it's like to be free, she thought. But Mary didn't watch for long. Even at only 8 years old, she knew the first rule of the Union Springs, Alabama plantation she lived on. Keep working. She knew the second rule too. Slaves should not be taught to read or write or do anything that might help them learn to do so. Mary didn't stop working. She didn't learn to read either. But at the end of each long day picking cotton, toting water to Papa and the other slaves who chopped wood for the train tracks, or helping Mama clean the big house, she would lie in her little bed next to the crumbling fireplace and think about those birds. When I'm free, I'll go where I want and rest when I want. I'll learn to read too. When she was 15, it happened. Mary and her mother, brothers, and sister were free. The Emancipation Proclamation said so. What it didn't say was how a family with nothing except the tattered garments on their backs could find food, clothes, and a place to sleep. Mary's father had died, and the family was on its own. Freedom Road to Freedom Road. Across fields and through woods, ex-slaves surged like waves crashing hard to shore. Now that they were free, every road was Freedom Road. Many headed north and west in every which way, searching for family members or simply experiencing the wonder of being free. Others, like Mary, chose to stay in the South. An organization called the Freedmen's Bureau helped those who stayed to find shelter on abandoned Confederate land. Mary and her family settled in a one-room cabin, and for the next few years, she worked alongside her mama to help feed her siblings. 7 days a week, she churned butter, cleaned houses, and cared for other folks' children. The hours were long, and if Mary was thirsty or hungry or needed to use the outhouse, she had to wait until she got home. At the end of the week, she would offer Mama the one lonely quarter she had earned. Wow, a quarter? All of that work. One day, Mary met a group of evangelists on the roadside. A woman with soft wrinkles in her kindly face placed a big, beautiful Bible in Mary's hands and told her, "Your civil rights are in these pages." Mary didn't know what civil rights were. She only knew what top to bottom, front to back. That book was filled with words. "I'm going to learn to read those words," she vowed, "but not today. Today was work. There was work to be done." And tomorrow, too, When Mary got married, she and her husband worked as sharecroppers, renting someone else's house, using someone else's tools, and planting someone else's seeds to farm land they would never own. After they harvested crops, almost all the money they earned went to pay for the housing, tools, and seed costs. Mary was 20 years old when her first son was born. She opened her Bible and marveled at the squiggles inside. There had been no time to learn to read. A friend wrote Mary's son's birth date in the Bible, August 26th, 1869. Then Mary dipped a pen into an inkwell and made her mark beside it. Not a letter, not a name, just a mark. It was the best she could do. One day, Mary's husband died. She married again. A second son was born, then a third. Mary made marks for these sons too. Now she had 3 growing boys. More money? That's what we need, Mary thought. But the only other jobs available to Black women were as maids or nannies or cooks. The hours were long, with only half a day off on Saturdays, and like sharecropping, they didn't pay much. Mary sighed. Words would have to wait. For the next 4 decades, Mary sharecropped and did odd jobs to help support her family. In 1917, Mary's family moved to the little city of Chattanooga, Tennessee. It was the year of Chattanooga's Great Flood. The story was in all the newspapers, but Mary could only study the pictures to understand what happened. By now, Mary was 68 and too old to sharecrop, but she continued to work, cooking, cleaning, and babysitting. She also fried fish, baked cakes, and sold sandwiches to raise money for her church. On Sundays, she would sit in the congregation, and as the preacher spoke, she would clutch her family Bible. The Bible she still couldn't read. When Mary was well past 90, she and her husband sat in their creaky rockers while one or another of their sons read to them. After the 2 younger boys died, the eldest read. Then Mary's husband died. Several years later, her eldest son died too. He was 94. Mary had outlived her entire family. She was 114 years old and alone. Can't read, she said, can't write. I don't know anything. Mary stood at the window of her retirement home and gazed down at the world below. Words were everywhere, on billboards, on buildings, on store windows and trucks. She sighed. All this time, she thought, and they still look like squiggles. Mary had heard about a new reading class held in her building. She pursed her lips. No more waiting, she decided. Time to learn. When the elevator doors sprang open, Mary saw people sitting under a sign with a picture of an open book. She could not read the words. A neighbor walked up to her. "That's a reading class, Miss Mary. Can I help you over?" Mary shook her head. Then she gripped her cane, lifted her chin, and walked straight toward that sign. For the next year or more, Mary put everything she had into learning to read. It wasn't easy. After all, she was the oldest student in the class, and probably in the entire country. Could someone her age learn to read? Yawn number 2. She didn't know, but by God, she was going to try. She studied the alphabet until her eyes watered. She memorized the sounds each letter made and practiced writing her name so many times that her fingers cramped. She learned to recognize sight words and then challenged herself to make short sentences with them. She studied and studied until books and pages and letters and words swirled in her head while she slept. One fine day, Mary's hard work paid off. She could read. Word of her accomplishment traveled, and people everywhere celebrated her. Chattanooga's mayor, newspaper journalists across the country, and a man from the U.S. Department of Education who said, "Miss Mary Walker, I pronounce you the nation's oldest student." All shared her joy. Mary felt complete. She still missed her sons, but whenever she was lonely, she read from her Bible or looked out her window and read the words in the street below. From then on, Chattanoogans honored Mary's achievements with yearly birthday parties. In 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson sent well wishes to Mary on Mary's 118th birthday. And in 1969, President Richard Nixon did the same. Mary was now 121. Oh my goodness. Mary received many gifts over the years: a radio, a sofa, her very first television, a new Bible, the key to the city, and perfume and champagne from the Canadian Mounties. She also received something that brought back those long days in the Alabama cotton fields: her first airplane ride. From the cockpit window, Mary gazed at the trees and rooftops below. No different than a horse and buggy ride, she joked, but she knew it was. As the airplane dipped and roared like those swallow-tailed kites of long ago, Mary decided that flying is a lot like reading. They both made a body feel as free as a bird. Each year, before her birthday celebration came to an end, someone would whisper, "Let's listen to Miss Mary." The shuffling and movement would fade away until not a sound was heard. Then Mary would stand on her own on her old legs, clear her old throat, and read from her Bible or her school book in a voice that was clear and strong at 121. That is amazing. When she finished, she would gently close her book and say, "You're never too old to learn." Wow, that is amazing. Oh, I gotta read this author's note about Miss Mary. Oh, let me see. Pictures of Miss Mary. So these are pictures of Miss Mary. That one right there is her first plane ride. Wow. That is amazing. And this is Miss Mary at her graduation saying that she can read. That is awesome. But let me read this author's note for you. Mary Walker was born a slave on May 6th, 1848. From a young age, she picked cotton, toted water, cleaned houses, and worked as a blacksmith. In later life, she never forgot the harsh punishments slaves received if they stopped working without permission. But she was quick to say that she had forgiven everyone for the things she'd endured. Very little is known about Mary's life from her emancipation at age 15 until she learned to read at 116. But it is a fact that her Bible waited 101 years for her to learn to read it. It is known that Mary was married twice and had 3 sons. One of those sons served in World War I. I chose to imagine other details to fill in the blanks. Mary's eldest son died in 1963. She enrolled in CALM, the Chattanooga Area Literacy Movement, the same year. And by 1964, she knew how to read, write, add, and subtract. She was then certified as the nation's oldest student and was twice named Chattanooga's Ambassador of Goodwill. Her retirement home was named the Mary Walker Towers. Mary received the key to the city of Chattanooga in 1966 and 1969. Her first plane ride happened on May 6, 1966, when pilot Harry Porter flew her over her apartment building so she could wave to her friends below. Before Mary's death at age 121 on December 1st, 1969, she could still see and hear well. She could still hold a pencil and write her name steadily. She could walk with only minimal help from her trusty cane. She could also still sew beautiful bonnets and cakes that she bragged were light as a feather. Mary lived through 26 presidents. Today, historical marker 2A73 stands at 3031 Wilcox Boulevard in Chattanooga, Tennessee, to commemorate her amazing life. Wow! To start learning how to read when you are old, when you're 116 years old. You can't tell me. You cannot tell me that you're too old to learn, that you're not, that you can't learn. Because if someone who is 116 can learn how to read, guess what, my friends? I know that you can learn how to read too, and how to be a better reader, okay? So, my friends, let me encourage you again. You know what I'm about to point to. This right here. Our GoFundMe link that is also in the chat please make sure if you are on, because I don't know who's on and who's not, but if you are on, please do go and donate to the GoFundMe. Make sure you go on and you donate. Thank you so much to all of you who have donated already. I appreciate you and thank you. And if you do not get to donate during this broadcast, just to let you know, there will be the GoFundMe will stay active for another 2 weeks after this broadcast. So don't feel bad about not being able to contribute today. You'll have another 2 weeks to be able to contribute, okay? So, just a moment. I will be right back. I have to go get something. I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back. All right, had to go get something real quick. But let me see. Let me see what book I want to read. So let me reach around here. Gotta move this out of the way because I'm not using that. But I did want to read, especially since I wanted to read some books about giving back, because that's what we're talking about during the Miss Hope's Reading Hour Read-A-Thon. So I wanted to read about giving back. So this book is a really good book. And I remember, I'm trying to remember, did someone read this book in school to my kids, or did I read it somewhere? I'm trying to remember how I found out about this book. You know what I think? Maybe it was the art teacher. I can't remember. But I do remember hearing this book somewhere in my school. I can't remember who read it, but I know someone did. So this book is called Last Stop on Market Street. Last Stop on Market Street. So the words are by Matt De La Pena, pictures by Christian Robinson. Last Stop on Market Street. I really like this book. Ooh, come on, pages. CJ pushed through the church doors, skipped down the steps. The outside air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. He ducked under his Nana's umbrella, saying, "How come we gotta wait for the bus in all this wet?" "Trees get thirsty too," his Nana told him. "Don't you see that big one drinking through a straw?" CJ looked for a long time, but never saw a straw. Talking about the trunk. From the bus stop, he watched water pool on flower petals, watched rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Colby climbed in, gave CJ a wave, and drove off with his dad. "Nana, how come we don't got a car?" All good questions. "Boy, what do we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire, and old Mr. Dennis who always has a trick for you." The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. It sighed and sagged, and the doors swung open. Can you see the dragon? "What's that I see?" Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ear, placed it in his palm. Nana laughed her deep laugh and pushed CJ along. They sat right up front. The man across the way was tuning a guitar. An old woman with curlers had butterflies in a jar. Nana gave everyone a great big smile and a good afternoon. She made sure CJ did the same. The bus lurched forward and stopped, lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. "How come we always gotta go here after church?" CJ said. "Miguel and Colby never have to go nowhere." "I feel sorry for those boys," she told him. "They'll never get a chance to meet Bobo or the Sunglass Man. And I hear Trixie got herself a brand new hat." CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zip by on either side, watched a group of boys hop curves on bikes. A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave up his seat. "How come that man can't see?" "Boy, what do you know about seeing?" Nana told him. "Some people watch the world with their ears." "That's a fact. Their noses too," the man said, sniffing the air. "That's a mighty fine perfume you're wearing today, ma'am." Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed a deep laugh. Two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved on by and stood in the back. "Sure wish I had one of those," he said. Nana set down her knitting. What for? You've got the real live thing sitting across from you. Why don't you ask the man if he'll play us a song? CJ didn't have to. The guitar player was already plucking strings and beginning to sing. To feel the magic of music, the blind man whispered, I like to close my eyes. Nana closed hers too. So did CJ and the spotted dog. And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus, out of the busy city. He saw sunset colors swirling over crashing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky, saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full. He was lost in the sound, and the sound gave him the feeling of magic. The song ended, and CJ opened his eyes. Everyone on the bus clapped, even the boys in the back. Nana glanced at the coin in CJ's palm. CJ dropped it in the man's hat. Last stop on Market Street, Mr. Dennis called. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus. Crumbling sidewalks and broken down doors, graffiti tagged windows and boarded up stores. He reached for Nana's hands. How come it's always so dirty over here? She smiled and pointed to the sky. Sometimes when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness for what is beautiful. CJ saw the perfect rainbow arching over the soup kitchen. He wondered how his Nana always found beautiful where he never even thought to look. He looked all around them again, at the bus rounding the corner out of sight, and the broken street lamps still lit up bright, and the stray cat shadows moving across the wall. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, wait a minute, I think I skipped a page. Oh no. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, I'm glad we came. He thought his Nana might laugh her deep laugh, but she didn't. She patted him on the head and told him, Me too, CJ. Now, come on. Where's Nana and CJ? What are they doing? They are being of service, serving at the soup kitchen. The end. I love this book. The reason why I love this book is because I can remember as a young person, not quite so little as CJ, but I remember my aunt taking me and my cousin and us work in the soup kitchen. I remember that. I remember us going in and being taught to serve them as we would like to be served, to serve those who are coming to the soup kitchen for food and for services, to treat them the same way we would want to be treated if someone was serving us. And I always hold on to that experience. That experience was like a really cool experience, because you get to see how, even though these people are coming to the soup kitchen and they are coming to get food because they don't have any at home, sometimes you can look at people in those predicaments and think, oh, they're so different than you and things like that. But then once you start talking to people, you realize, you know what? You're just having a hard time. A lot of times we are more the same than we are different. Okay? So I love that book. Let's see. I'm trying to think, which one do I want to read first? So, before I read the next book, I want to share another video. All right, so let's look at this one. Let's see. All right.
We take the phrase milking the opportunity very literally here at Heifer International. It's because giving people cows really is providing them an opportunity to make a better life. Their strength and size makes cows great for pulling plows, and their manure helps fertilize crops. Manure can also be used to make biofuel, a source of clean, renewable energy. But what they're most famous for is milk. A single glass of milk contains 8 grams of protein and is an excellent source of vitamin D and calcium. It can be made into all kinds of dairy products, like cheese and yogurt, that are vital sources of nutrition. But that's not all. The extra can be sold, providing a source of regular income. That means money for things like school, housing, and food, the ingredients for a healthy, happy, and dignified life. Did you know young female cows that haven't had babies are called heifers? Cows can produce up to 6 gallons of milk a day. It's hard to sneak up on a cow. They can see almost 360 degrees. Give a cow today. Check out heifer.org to learn how.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I saw another video that I actually want to share. I didn't see that one before. Let me do this again so I can get to that video. Just a second, guys. I'm so glad I saw that, because that was one thing that they had talked about when it came to Heifer International. That was something that they talked about. Oh, wait a minute. Let me pause it. Pause. Let me share. Oh. Pause, man. There we go. Let me share this.
There's been a lot of talk about bees recently, and for a good reason. Bees do a lot more than make honey. They're critical for our survival. Here's why. Number one, bees have been declared the most important living beings on Earth. Their role in pollination is so significant that Albert Einstein said humans would have only 4 years to live if bees disappeared. Number two, bees are so good at pollination that the placement of one colony can double nearby fruit and vegetable production. It's estimated that 1/3 of the food we eat relies on pollination, mainly by bees. Number three, bees play an important role in farming communities. The sale of honey provides income and food security during the dry season or when crops fail. Number four, honey is more than delicious. It's rich in antioxidants, helpful healing burns, and effective at suppressing coughs. Number five is a reason for worry. Bee populations are declining around the world as a result of pesticide use, climate change, and habitat loss. At Heifer International, we understand the importance of bees. That's why we provide training and beekeeping equipment to farmers around the world, improving their livelihoods while also preserving the environment. Want to make a difference? Donate a hive yourself or for a friend at heifer.org.
All right. Wait, where is it? All right. So that is the reason why we need bees. If we don't have bees, if we don't have bees, we won't have a lot of the different foods that we eat all the time. So we need bees. They need to pollinate and give us all of the foods that we need to eat. So, you like apples? No bees, no apples. Do you like oranges? No bees, no oranges. A lot of the fruits and vegetables that we consume. Do you like cucumbers? No bees, no cucumbers. No insects, no cucumbers, okay? Because a lot of those foods that we eat, they have flowers that grow on them first, and then the fruit comes, the fruit or the vegetable. So our next book in giving back, wait a minute. My is itching. Sorry, you guys. Our next book, talking about giving back, is called, and I really like this, but see, I keep saying I really like this book because I really do like so many of them. I do. So this is called Those Shoes. Those Shoes by Mary Beth Boltz, illustrated by Noah Z. Jones. And this is a Candlewick Press book. I have dreams about those shoes. Black high tops, 2 white stripes. Grandma, I want them. There's no room for around here. Just need, Grandma says. And what you need are new boots for the winter. Parents, you ever hear those things? I need them. I want them. Brandon T comes to school in those shoes. He says he's the fastest runner now, not me. I was always the fastest before those shoes came along. Nate comes to school in those shoes. Antonio and I count how many times Nate goes to the bathroom. 7 times in one day, just so he can walk up and down the hall. It's real slow. Stunting. So people see those shoes. Next, Alan Jacoby and Terrence each get a pair. Then one day, in the middle of kickball, one of my shoes comes apart. Looks like you could use a new pair, Jeremy, Mr. Alfrey, the guidance counselor, says. He brings out a box of shoes and other stuff he has for kids who need things. He helps me find the only shoes that are my size. Velcro, like the ones my little cousin Marshall wears. They have an animal on them from a cartoon I don't think any kid ever watched. Oh, it's kind of brutal. When I come back to the classroom, Alan Jacoby takes one look at my Mr. Alfrey shoes and laughs. And so do Terrence, Brandon T, and everyone else. The only kid not laughing is Antonio Parker. Excuse me. At home, Grandma says, "How kind of Mr. Alfrey." I nod and turn my back. I'm not going to cry about any dumb shoes. But when I'm writing my spelling words later, every word looks like the word shoes, and my grip is so tight on my pencil, I think it might bust. So you think he's a little upset? I think he's maybe a lot upset, okay? Maybe a lot upset. On Saturday, Grandma says, "Let's check out those shoes you're wanting so much. I got a little bit of money set aside. Might be enough. You never know." At the shoe store, Grandma turns those shoes over so she can check the price. When she sees it, she sits down heavy. "Maybe they wrote it down wrong," I say. Grandma shakes her head. Like, no, no, no. That's the right price, friend. I've been there with sneakers. Like, I want to, oh, these sneakers are so cool. I want to buy these sneakers. And then I'm like, they cost what? Then I remember the thrift shops. What if there's a rich kid who outgrew his or got 2 pairs for Christmas and had to give one of them away? We ride the bus to the first thrift shop. Black cowboy boots, pink slippers, sandals, high heels. Every kind of shoes except the ones I want. We ride the bus to the second thrift shop. Not a pair of those shoes in sight. Around the corner is the third thrift shop. I see something in the window. Black shoes with 2 white stripes, high tops, perfect shape, $2.50. Those shoes. My heart is pounding hard as I take off my shoes and hitch up my baggy socks. How exciting, Grandma says. What size are they? I shove my foot into the first shoe, curling my toes to get my heel in. I don't know, but I think they fit. I don't know. When you say that you have to something somewhere, I'm not sure that fits, but we'll see. Grandma kneels on the floor and feels for my toes at the end of the shoe. Oh, Jeremy, she says, I can't spend good money on shoes that don't fit. He tried it. He was like, maybe if I can make my foot fit in here, maybe. I pull the other shoe on and try to walk around. They're okay, I say, holding my breath and praying that my toes will fall off right then and there. But my toes don't fall off. I buy them anyway with my own money and I squeeze them on and limp to the bus stop. Oh my gosh. I know someone who, when I was younger, they wore shoes that did not fit because they wanted to say that their feet was a certain size, but they shall remain nameless, okay? At home, a few days later, Grandma puts a new pair of snow boots in my closet and doesn't say a word of two big feet shuffling around in my two small shoes. Sometimes shoes stretch, I say. Grandma gives me a hug. She gave him a hug like, I don't think they stretch that much. I check every day, but those shoes don't stretch. I have to wear my Mr. Alfreys to school instead. One day during math, glanced at Antonio's shoes. Oh, excuse me. One of them is taped up, and his feet look smaller than mine. After school, I head to the park to think. Antonio is there, the only kid who didn't laugh at my Mr. Alfrey shoes. We shoot baskets. A loose piece of tape on Antonio's shoe smacks the concrete every time he jumps. I think I'm not going to do it. We leap off of the swings. I'm not going to do it. We race from one end of the playground to the other. I'm not going to do it, I say. Do what? Antonio says, breathing hard. Grandma calls me for supper and invites Antonio over too. After supper, he spies my shoes. How come you don't wear them? Antonio asks. I shrug. My hands are sweaty. I can feel him wishing those shoes were his. Or he might just be asking you a question. That night, I'm awake for a long time thinking about Antonio. When morning comes, I try on my shoes one last time. Before I can change my mind, the shoes are in my coat. Snow is beginning to fall as I run across the street to Antonio's apartment. I put the shoes in front of his door, rang the doorbell. I'm going to push the doorbell and run. At school, Antonio is smiling in his brand new shoes. I feel happy when I look at his face and mad when I look at Mr. Alfrey's shoes. But later, when it's time for recess, something happens. Everywhere there is snow. Leave your shoes in the hall and change into your boots, the teacher announces. I leave my shoes in the hall. Leave your shoes in the hall. It's then I remember what I have in my backpack. New boots. New black boots that no kid has ever worn before. Standing in line to go to recess, Antonio leans forward and says, "Thanks." I smile and give him a nudge. Let's race. The end. Wow, what an awesome book. Those shoes. I remember the first time I read it, I wasn't expecting for it to turn out that way. I wasn't expecting for him to find the shoes he wanted and then not be able to fit them. That happened to me before. Okay, I know how that feels. But to know that he actually did need sneakers, but he just couldn't find the ones that he wanted. And when he found the ones he wanted, unfortunately, they weren't in his size. But he was saying to himself, "I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it." Really, he was saying, "I'm not going to give Antonio these shoes. These shoes are my shoes. They may not fit, but they are mine and I have a pair. No, I am not giving them to Antonio. I'm not doing it. You can't make me do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not giving them to Antonio." But guess what? Usually when you're saying, "No, I'm not going to do that. You can't make me do it. I'm not going to do it." More likely than not, especially if it's helping someone out, you are going to do it. Okay. So that was a really beautiful story because really, he could have chosen not to give him the shoes. He could have said, "No, I'm not going to give him the shoes. I'm going to sell them to someone and maybe try to make my $2.50 back." He could have done that. He could have tried to take the shoes back to the thrift store. But no, he saw that his friend was in need. And so he decided to give him the shoes. Such a beautiful story. I really like that story. And, I really like that story because also, usually we see stories like that with girls. And I like that it was a story with boys, and they were talking about really wanting those special shoes because when we start talking about sneakers, that is a definite thing that happens with our gentlemen friends. So I'm glad that the story had two boys and was talking about the boys and their love of sneakers. But as we're talking about giving back, right? This book, the reason why I wanted to read that book as well is because when you think of Heifer International, right? And even West Philadelphia Action for Early Learning and the Ronald McDonald House. I can only imagine how many people who've actually gone through their child being sick and then having to live in the Ronald McDonald House. I can imagine how many of those people have come back and helped other people. How with Action for West Philadelphia Action for Early Learning, people who have been recipients of what the parent um, ambassadors do, that they actually decide, I also want to be a parent ambassador to help other parents the way I was helped. Heifer International, I got this livestock and now I want to give my extra, my baby animals, some of my bees, some of my farm equipment. I want to give it to someone else in the village that I know it will help. That is what this is all about. This paying it forward. So that if you know you have been helped in some type of way, how about you donate or look in the chat and find the link and you donate to help someone else? That is called paying it forward. There's actually a movie by that name, which for whatever reason, I cannot seem to get through the whole thing. It's like I get through most of it or I miss the first part of it, but by gosh, I am going to get to the end of that movie because I like to use parts of it and possibly when I see the whole movie for students to teach them how to pay it forward when someone has done something wonderful for you. Okay, so let me take a little sippy sip. Needed that. All right. So our next book talking about giving back, and I really do like this book too. I mean, sorry, it's a good book. It is a good book, friends. So let me get the music that I want to read this book. Let's see. All right. So this book is called Maddie's Fridge. Maddie's Fridge. This book is written by Lois Brandt, illustrated by Vin Vogel, and it is a Scholastic Books book. Maddie's Fridge. When Sophia and Maddie played at the park, they stretched their toes to the sky. They climbed to the top of the ladder and flew off the end of the slide. They stayed until the buildings grew long shadows and even the taxis stopped honking. Let's play on the climbing wall, Maddie said. No way, Sophia said. I can't reach. Yes way, Maddie scooted up to the top of the wall. Your turn. Sophia put a foot on the bottom rock, grabbed with one hand, and stretched, but she couldn't reach the next hold. Sophia's stomach growled. I give up. Let's get a snack. No way, Maddie said. Let's stay here. Yes way, Sophia ran to Maddie's building. She's like, oh, no, ma'am. I don't care what you're thinking. My stomach is telling me we need something to eat. And raced up the stairs. Wait, Maddie ran after her. Maddie was the best climber, but Sophia was the best runner. Sophia swung open the door of Maddie's fridge. What have you got? We have milk, Maddie said. I'm saving it for Ryan. He's still little. Why doesn't your mom go to the store? Sophia asked. We don't have enough money. Well, what if you get hungry? We have some bread, Maddie said. I guess I'll go home to eat, Sophia said. Please don't tell anyone, Maddie said. Okay. Promise? Promise. You know, a pinky promise. It's hard to break them. Sophia ran home past the bookstore and grocery store. The sun went down behind the buildings and took all the colors with it. Good timing, Mom said. Dinner's almost ready. Louis was wrestling on the floor with Pepito. Sophia opened the refrigerator door. Pepito peeked inside. Sophia's fridge was full of milk and eggs and tortillas and cheese and lettuce and jam and salsa and tofu and even half a can of dog food. Here you go, Mom said. Sophia and Louis each had a plate of fish and rice. Mom had a plate of fish and rice. Even Pepito had a bowl of dog food with a little bit of fish and rice. Maddie and Ryan only had some bread and a small carton of milk. Sophia couldn't tell Mom. She had to keep her promise to Maddie. Not fish again, Louis said. I want cheesy pizza bombs. Cheesy pizza bombs are a treat, Mom said. Fish is a good source of protein. Is fish good for kids? Sophia asked. Yes, Mom smiled. Fish is perfect for kids. That night, Sophia had an idea. Yuck, Maddie said on the next day. Oh, Sophia said, double yuck. Fish may be kids, but fish is not good for backpacks. After school, Sophia and Maddie raced to the climbing wall. Sophia got there first, but Maddie scrambled past her to the top of the wall. Sophia stretched and stretched. Keep trying, Maddie said. You'll get it. I can't, Sophia jumped down. It's too high. That night, Sophia, Louis, and Mom ate frittata. Pepito ate his dog food and a little bit of frittata. Maddie and Ryan still had an empty refrigerator. Sophia couldn't ask for help. That would break her promise. She had to try again. Are eggs good for kids? Sophia asked. Not as good as cheesy pizza bombs, Louis said. Cheesy pizza bombs are a treat, Mom said. Eggs are good for you. After dinner, Sophia packed eggs for Maddie and Ryan. Yucks, Maddie said. Double yuck, Sophia said. Eggs may be good for kids, but eggs are not good for backpacks. She tried. She said, I'm trying to help my friend. Sophia and Maddie raced to the climbing wall. Sophia won again, but Maddie shot past her to the top of the wall. Sophia grabbed one hold, reached to the next, and came down with a thump. That happens sometimes, Maddie called. This is impossible, Sophia said. Keep trying, Maddie. You'll get it. That night, Sophia, Louis, and Mom had burritos. Pepito had his dog food and a little bit of burrito, no salsa. Maddie and Ryan still had an empty fridge. Sophia wished she hadn't promised Maddie. Are burritos good for kids? Sophia asked. Burritos are very good for you, Mom said. Oh, excuse me. Not as good as, Louis started to say. You should pay attention to nutrition like your sister. The next morning, Sophia put 2 burritos in her backpack along with tortillas, beans, cheese, and even some milk. What a thoughtful friend. Oh, okay. Trying not to drift. Oh, wait a minute. No thanks, Maddie said. You haven't even looked, Sophia said. Is it fish? Maddie asked. No. Is it eggs? No. Is it gross? I don't know. Maddie shook the backpack. Something sloshed. Let's look together, Maddie said. 1, 2, 3, go. Burritos are good for kids and good for backpacks. Do you want some milk? Sophia asked. Thanks, Maddie said, but I'll save the milk for Ryan. Sophia and Maddie raced to the climbing wall. Sophia won as usual and tried to climb. You can do it, Maddie said. Take my hand. Woohoo! I made it to the top, Sophia shouted. We're the tallest kids in the park, Maddie said. Thanks for helping me, Maddie. I couldn't do it alone. Maddie shrugged. That's what friends are for. After they finished playing, Sophia walked home past the bookstore and the grocery store. She thought and thought and thought. Her own fridge was full of milk and juice and chicken and yogurt and bread and carrots and even half a can of dog food. Maddie's fridge only had 2 tortillas and a cup of beans and a bit of cheese and a little more milk than before. Sophia didn't want to break her promise, but she couldn't help Maddie alone. Sophia told. She hoped Maddie wouldn't be mad. I'm glad you told me, Mom said. Let's see what we can do together. They loaded grocery bags with milk, flour, chicken, carrots, sugar, oil, and even frozen meat and vegetables. Louis pulled a package of cheesy pizza bombs out of the freezer. He thought and thought and thought some more. Then he put his cheesy pizza bombs in Maddie and Ryan's bag. For a treat, he said. At Maddie's apartment, the moms talked. Louis and Ryan played. Maddie and Sophia ran to the park. You broke your promise, Maddie said. I'm sorry, Sophia said. Are you mad? A promise is important, Maddie said. You're more important, Sophia said. I wanted you to have milk too. Maddie smiled. Are we still friends? Sophia asked. Always, Maddie said. Double always, said Sophia. Cheesy pizza bombs, Louis yelled. Our moms made cheesy pizza bombs for a treat. Sophia and Maddie raced up the stairs. Sophia slowed down so they could run together. That's what friends are for. The end. Maddie's fridge. Such an awesome story of friends helping another friend. Because sometimes when you want to help your friends and they say, no, don't tell anybody, sometimes you gotta tell because you're not always able to help them on your own. So you gotta make sure that you tell someone that you can trust, like your parent, who can maybe go and talk to their parents and help them as well. So let me see what videos we have still. Oh no, we do have another video. Let me share this one. Oh, wait a minute. Let me put it up. There we go. Oh, something's fine. Sorry, guys. Something's in my eye. All right, so let's pause our music so we can share this story. Oh, wait a minute. Let me put it back up. There we go. Share screen. Share. All right.
David.
Uh-oh.
Hi, friends. My name is Miss Zoe, and I'm from Action for Early Learning. And today I'm going to read to you one of my favorite books called No, David. It is a very silly book, and it's written by David Shannon. Have you ever not followed directions from your parents or done something that they didn't like, because that's what David does in this book, and he gets into some trouble. So let's see what happens. No, David. David's mom always said, "No, David." Like he's writing on the walls. Are you supposed to write on the walls? No, David. Like he's reaching for the cookies. No, David, no. What is he doing there? He brought in the dirt from outside and he's messing up the carpet. No, no, no. Oh my goodness, the water is flowing all over the bath. Oh my goodness. Come back here, David. I can't believe he ran out of the house with no clothes on. That's so silly. David, be quiet. Oh my goodness. Don't play with your food. He made a person out of potato, green beans, chicken legs. That's crazy. That's enough, David. Look at all that food in his mouth. Oh my goodness. He is not following directions. Go to your room. Did you ever get in trouble and your parents asked you to go to your room? That's what's happening to David. Oh, but he's jumping on the bed. Settle down. Stop that this instant. What is he doing there? He's picking his nose. That's not good. Put your toys away. Oh my goodness, look at that messy room. There's so much stuff on the floor. Not in the house, David. What happens if you play baseball in the house, inside? I don't know, let's see. Uh-oh. I said no, David. You broke the vase. Davy, come here. Oh, he felt bad, so his mommy said, come here. Yes, David, I love you. And that's it. Thank you, friends, for reading that story with me. I hope that you can think about some times that you weren't following directions and maybe your parents were frustrated and upset and maybe you got in trouble. But at the end of the day, you worked through it because you are very loved and we can always forgive each other and work through our problems. Bye.
Oh, that was a good book. And some good things that she said about being able to work through problems and being able to forgive each other. That was a really good book. I think I've seen that book before. So, let me see. There was a book that I wanted to read. Oh, you know what? Let me see. I want to read one of our nighttime books. So since it is 20 in the morning, sorry, I had to eat my last cookie. I wanted to read one of our nighttime books. Let me see. Okay, so we are going to read this book right here. Now, I have to definitely find some good music for this one. Because this is a really good book. No, that's not what I wanted. Just a second. I need to find the right kind of ambiance for this book. Let's see if this is what I'm looking for. No, that's not it. That is not it. Oh, that worked. So, this book that I'm going to read for you right now this book is called The Sandman by William Joyce. The Sandman. So you're going to learn about the Sandman. I liked this book when we read it in the reading hour. I was like, oh, this is such a good book. The Sandman, the story of Sanderson Man Snoozy. Of course, you know the guardians of childhood. You've known them since before you can remember, and you'll know them till your memories are like twilight. The very first guardian was the man in the moon, and it was he who found the others. The man in the moon watches over the children of earth. Like a giant nightlight in the sky, he keeps nightmares away. But when the moon is less than full and bright, who will keep children safe at night? The man in the moon needed another to help him, so he searched with his telescopes until he saw a face he recognized. He looked once, he looked twice. Could it be? Why, yes, it was the same fellow he'd once sent wish to. Many once upon a time ago. Back when the man in the moon was just a very small boy. Back in a time called the Golden Age. The sleepy little fellow's name was Sanderson Man Snoozy. You may know him better as the Sandman, but he began his journey as just plain Sandy, and this is how he came to be. The Golden Age had been a glorious time of hope and happiness and dreams that could come true. In those days, Sanderson Man Snoozy was the pilot of a shooting star. He lived inside his star, jetting across the endless seas of time and space, flying past countless worlds. Anyone who saw this shooting star could make a wish upon it, just as the man in the moon had done as a little boy. Sandy would then send back a dream that would help that person make their wish come true. For a wish always begins with a dream. That is why he was so sleepy. He was constantly dreaming. But in this golden age, there was one who could not abide anything good or kind or gentle. Pitch, the king of nightmares. He had sworn to destroy sweet dreams and shooting stars, and one by one he hunted them down. Sailing in his nightmare galleon with his dream pirates, he would harpoon the stars and drag them to their doom, hurling them into moons, planets, or even the endless darkness of a black hole. And so it was with Sanderson Man Snoozy and his star. They were near the shoulder of the constellation Orion when Pitch attacked. The Nightmare King lanced the star with his harpoons. For the first time, Sandy knew fear, and his fear only made Pitch stronger. Sandy could not let his star be harmed. He swerved and breached with astonishing daring, and finally broke free. But he lost control of his star. It streaked through space like a missile, a bullet, a wayward arrow of flame and hope. They tumbled toward a small green and blue planet called Earth. He was certain he would crash. He could hear the laughter of the dream pilots and felt helpless and afraid. But as Sandy plummeted earthward, he heard 1,000 wishes, the wishes of children who saw his stars streaking toward them. Sandy knew he must not harm a single child, so with all his strength he guided his star away from the land and over a vast sea. Just as he was about to crash, he heard a wish that seemed to come from far away. It was bright and clear and kind. "I wish you well," was all it said. So Sandy closed his eyes and dreamed that all would be well. Oh, look at Sanderson. Moments later, they crashed into the ocean. The sky was filled with the blinding light of their impact. Then the light faded, and the star had neither sunk nor exploded. It had become a sandy sort of island with long spiraling tendrils of land. And at its center were a number of steep dunes, and at the center of the dunes lay Sanderson Man Snoozy. Above his head, sand was swirling into shapes that were peaceful and soothing. The faraway wish had been granted. Sanderson Man Snoozy was well and smiling and fast asleep. From all around came the creatures of the sea. The mermaids were enthralled by Sandy's dream sand, and from that moment on they were determined to help the lost little man, a fellow traveler, but from the ocean of the sky. On and on Sandy slept, and on he dreamed, until every grain of sand on his island contained a dream. 10,000 nights and dreams passed. Pitch had vanished, and so had the golden age. The world changed, the island changed, and Sandy changed. Then one night a moonbeam shined down on him, and he heard the voice from long ago that had wished him well. "I wish that you would help," said the voice. With that, Sanderson Man Snoozy finally woke up. There in the moonbeam, he could see the man in the moon, who asked, "When the moon's not full and bright, would you keep the children safe at night?" Sandy nodded, for if a wish was made to him, he still felt bound to answer it. He walked across the island that had been his star. He thought, and he thought, and he wondered, and he wondered. How could he help the children of Earth? The sea turtles came to him. Some had once belonged to children and knew of their fear of the dark. The seashells had more to tell. Countless children had held them to their ears to hear the call of the sea. So the shells had learned their secret joys and sorrows. The seashells told him that Pitch's dream pirates still roamed the night in search of sleeping children to hazard. Sandy knew that to help the children, he must once again face his ancient enemies. For the second time in his life, he felt afraid. For days and days his restless mind would not let him sleep. Without sleep, he had no dreams, and without dreams, he could do nothing. But the mermaids knew a way to help their friend. They came from the sea with a sweet lullaby, sweet dreams be in the sand you hold. They banished all the darkling fears and filled the night with gold. And so he dreamed. He dreamed of how he would help the children of Earth. As he did, the island began to transform. A wondrous castle grew all around him, and from the castle a great cloud of sand carried him into the sky. And on this cloud he journeyed to every land, and to every child who was sleeping he sent a lovely dream with his dream sand. And from every dark corner of the world the children slept unafraid, for all the nightmares were chased away. Chased away by the dream sand, chased up to Sandy's cloud. As they came, he grabbed each nightmare and said, "You are not real, you are not true, you are nothing." And as Sandy's fear vanished, so did the nightmares. One by one, they turned harmless to golden dream sand. And for the first time in all the history of sleep on Earth, there was not a single nightmare to be had. The moon peeked through the cloudy sky and shined down on Sanderson Man Snoozy. "You've granted my wish," the man in the moon said to him. "Now I shall grant you a name worthy of your talents." Sandy bowed as the moon declared, "From this moment on you shall be known as His Nocturnal Magnificence, Sanderson Man Snoozy, Sandman the First, Lord High Protector of Sleep and Dreams." Now the man in the moon had his first helper, and from that night on, Sandman has made his rounds, be the sky cloudy or bright, to send forth his dream sand. Now most every night is filled with sweet dreams. It's rare for dream sand to miss its proper mark. But if it does, a nightmare might try to sneak into your dream. But you know it's not real. So when you've had a good night's sleep and a wonderful dream, you might thank your gentle friend, His Nocturnal Magnificence, Sanderson Man Snoozy, Sandman the First, Lord High Protector of Sleep and Dreams. A longish name, to be sure, but worthy of a diligent dreamer who started his journey as just plain Sandy. The end. The Sandman, Sanderson Man Snoozy. Awesome story. Awesome bedtime story. All right, so let's see what other book we are going to read. So how about since we're talking about the moon and the man in the moon, how about we read Max and the Tagalong Moon? This book is by Floyd Cooper. It says, grandfather, grandson, and the moon above them both. Max and the Tagalong Moon. And this is a Puffin Books book, an imprint of Penguin Group. One night, as Max was leaving Grandpa's house, he reached up to give Grandpa a big hug goodbye. In the sky behind Grandpa appeared a big, fine moon. Look, Grandpa, the moon. That old moon will always shine for you. On and on. Grandpa and Max gazed quietly at the big moon together as it embraced them in its soft yellow light. Max smiled at the moon and Grandpa, then climbed into the car. Bye-bye, Grandpa. Bye-bye, Moon. As the car pulled away, Max kept his eyes on Grandpa until he disappeared from sight. And all he saw was the moon. Max kept his eyes on that moon, waiting for it to disappear too. The long ride home was swervy-curvy, this way and that, all the way. And the moon seemed to tag along. Max giggled as he watched the beautiful bright orb flicker through the passing trees, trailing behind the car as it traveled home, this way and that, playing peekaboo. Up a hill, down a hill, the moon was ever there. Over a bridge, around a curve, the moon bounced along. Around a tree, past a field of sleeping cows, the moon stayed quietly with Max. Through a small town with roundabout streets, Max gazed as the moon kept up. At the mouth of a tunnel and out the other end, Max smiled when he saw the moon there, waiting. Dark clouds tumbled across the night sky. The stars and nightingales all faded away. Max searched the darkness and wondered, where is the moon? Grandpa said it would always shine for me. Finally home, Max took one last look at the empty night sky. I guess that old moon couldn't shine for me all the way home. Upstairs in bed, the room was dark. Max felt alone. He missed Grandpa. He missed that tag-along moon. Then slowly, very slowly, Max's bedroom began to fill with a soft yellow glow. The clouds faded away, and the moon peeked through. Max gazed up at the magic ball of light and thought about what Grandpa said. That old moon will always shine for me, on and on. Max knew then that whenever he saw the moon, he would think of Grandpa on, and he slept soundly, embraced in soft yellow light. Max and the Tag-Along Moon. Such an awesome book. The love of a granddad and his grandson, and the wonder of looking up at the moon. Sometimes I find myself doing that too. I'm an adult and I still find wonder in looking up at the moon and looking at stars and things like that. So, my friends, this has been an awesome experience doing this 24-hour Miss Hope's Reading Hour Read and Raise-A-Thon. Don't know if anyone out there is still watching, but if you are, guess what? If I'm still reading, guess what you should be doing? Still donating, okay? That's what you should be doing. So, I won't fault you for being asleep. It is 2:49. So, can you believe it, you guys? We are almost at the end of our 5th block. Almost at the end, okay? Can you believe it? Almost at the end of the of the 5th block. So, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's starting to come down on me now. Maybe it's because we're near the end. But I'm like, no, I will persevere. We will keep reading, okay? I will persevere. So, let me see. I think I want to read a funny book. Let's see. Funny book. Okay, wait a minute. Let me see. No. Ow. Oh, I want to read these two. These two are pretty silly. So, the sillier books will help me to stay awake. Okay. So, which one do I want to read first? Oh, I want to read this one first. So, I saw that this was a Reading Rainbow book, and I was like, let me see. Like, what kind of book is this? But I'm glad I bought it because I was like, oh, this book's funny. This book's kind of silly. Oh, something's in my eye. This book, it's funny, but it talks about our misconceptions about people. So let's get into this book. So this book is called Gila Monsters Meet You at the Airport. What? Gila Monsters Meet You at the Airport. This book is by Marjorie Wyman Sherman. Pictures by Byron Barton. And it is a reading rainbow book. So this is an Aladdin paperbacks book, but it's been on Reading Rainbow before. I live at 165 East 95th Street, New York City, and I'm going to stay here forever. Okay? Staying here forever. My mother and father are moving out west. So he's staying forever, but his mother and father are moving out west. They say I have to go too. They say I can't stay here forever. I don't think he's quite feeling that. How about you? Out west, nobody plays baseball. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Okay. Out west, nobody plays baseball because they're too busy chasing buffalo. Are they? And there's cactus everywhere you look. But if you don't look, you have to stand up just as soon as you sit down. Because there's cacti everywhere. Out west, it takes 15 minutes to say hello, like this. Howdy, partner. Out west, I look silly all the time. I'll have to wear chaps and spurs and a bandana and a hat so big that nobody can find me underneath it. And I'll have to ride a horse to school every day. And I don't know how. Yeah, you can't make him ride the horse. Like everybody out west does. Out west, everybody grows up to be a sheriff. I want to be a subway driver. My best friend is Seymour, and we like to eat salami sandwiches together. Out west, I probably won't have any friends, but if I do, they'll be named Tex or Slim. And we'll eat chili and beans for breakfast, and lunch, and dinner, while I miss Seymour and salami. I'm on my way out west. It's cool in the airplane. The desert is so hot you can collapse, and then the buzzards circle overhead, and no one rescues you because it's real life and not the movies. There are clouds out the window. No buzzards yet. I'm looking at a map Before, whenever I looked at a map, I always knew my house was on the right. But no more. Now I'm in the middle of that map, and I'm going left, out west. Oh, so there's the rest of the country, and then there's out west. Seymour says there are Gila monsters and horned toads out west, and I read it in a book, so I know it's so. But Seymour says they meet you at the airport. Gila monsters? I don't think anybody would be going through that airport. Oh, excuse me. We're here, out west. I don't know what a Gila monster or a horned toad looks like. Oh, excuse me. I'm trying not to drift off. Keep it together, Hope. We're here, out west. I don't know what a Gila monster or a horned toad looks like, but I don't think I see any at the airport. I see a boy in a cowboy hat. He looks like Seymour, but I know his name is Tex. Hi, I say. Hi, he says. I'm moving east. Great, I say. Great, he says. What's so great about it? Don't you know that the streets are full of gangsters? They all wear flowers in their lapels so they look honest, but they zoom around in big cars with screeching brakes. You have to jump out of their way. Really? As an Easterner? We all are gangsters, huh? In the East, it snows and blows all the time, except for 5 minutes when it's spring and summer. Okay, you might have something to that that 5 minutes of spring and summer. And you have to live on the 50th floor. Airplanes fly through your bedroom and you've got to duck fast. They ran out of extra space in the East a long time ago. It's so crowded, people sit on top of each other when they ride to work. And alligators live in the sewers. I read it in a book, so I know it's so. Then the mother and father of the boy who looks like Seymour but isn't grab his hand and he goes off. Sometimes the alligators get out, he yells to me, and they wait for you at the airport. It's warm, but there's a nice breeze. We're in a taxi riding to our new house. No horses yet. I don't see any buffalo stampedes either. I see a restaurant just like the one in my old neighborhood. I see some kids playing baseball. many pages? I see a horse. Hey, that's a great looking horse. I'm going to ask my mother and father for one like it. Oh, you're not afraid of horses now. Here's our house. Some kids are riding their bikes in front of it. I hope one of them is named Slim. Tomorrow, I'm writing a long letter to Seymour. I'll tell him I'm sending it by Pony Express. Seymour will believe me. Back east, they don't know much about us Westerners. The end. That's hilarious. Now, I don't know about necessarily the people out west having some misconceptions about them, but from north to south, definitely had some misconceptions about them. And half of my family is from the south, okay? But that is the truth. We have misconceptions about each other all the time, all the time. We believe things that we don't necessarily know are true about people and the way they think and the way they do things. So we have to be mindful of that stuff, you know, that just because you think someone is that way, you got to get to know them. And you have to get to know people in different places because it might not be exactly the way you think, okay? All right, so let me see. 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 Actually, no. That's not what I want to do. I want to show this video again. I didn't show this video more than once. And this is the video about Dr. Audrey Evans, the creator of Ronald McDonald House Trace. So hold on, let me stop the ambience and share my screen. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Go here, share the screen. Share, and share alike. Oof. Uh-oh. What did I do? Let me see. Oh no, what did I do? Oh no, I did the wrong thing. Sorry, guys. Whew. Stop that screen. Let's try to share it again. I'm going to persevere, friends. I'm going to persevere. I'm going to persevere. All right, let me see the stream. Oh, there's the stream. All right, and
So, Audrey, the reason why we're here is because we've done lots of taping and lots of stories with you, and there are a couple thousand people coming together, and we want them to know what you were thinking when you thought of the Ronald McDonald House and some things that you always want them to remember.
To care. To care for other people. To think of what other people need. And I mean, we can think of our own needs and what we need, but to think, is there anybody else that I can help?
What do you think you did to help your patients be courageous? All of your patients were courageous in their battle with cancer. So on a day-to-day basis, what did you create on the floor, whether it was your parakeet cage or...
It wasn't a parakeet cage. It was a floor-to-ceiling bird cage with growing trees and something like 10 boys and 10 girl finches. And not only that is, finches did what finches do. They lay eggs. And they hatch eggs.
So why did you have that on the floor? And did anybody know about it?
Well,
or did you just
when
do
they
it?
finally found out that they all had a fit, but because they thought, oh, no, well, how awful with birds. Birds? Well, what's wrong with a finch? You know, a finch is a nice bird. So what can you do to make life a little better for children that are stuck in hospital with a bad disease? Fortunately, nobody liked oncology. So the people who run the place would rather not go to the oncology floor. So I got away with things I could do in oncology, which I'm sure you couldn't have done on a healthy ward. Right, one child said, can I bring my parakeet in a cage? Oh, sure, you can have your parakeet. Some child said, well, can I have my bunny here? Oh, of course you can have your bunny here. So tell your mum to bring the cage and you can have the bunny by your bedside.
So really, you thought about the family and you thought about patients before the buzzword family-centered care. You were doing family-centered care before it was a term.
But we learned it from somebody. We learned it from Dr. Sidney Farmer at the Children's Hospital in Boston, who has this beautiful drawing of a family in the middle and all the people around it. And the center of treatment for a child with cancer is the family. A family with a sick child is a sick family. So you must think about everybody, the siblings, the mother, the father, maybe grandmother, that's house keeps or something like that. You have to remember that they're part of a group. So you must remember the family.
So how does the Ronald House then, in a similar way, help families or patients or siblings have courage?
Oh, it's a huge help. I mean, it's an incredible home environment. It's not just food and beds and clothing. It's a atmosphere of care and support. So it's the epitome of care.
Did you ever imagine that it would be worldwide?
Oh, of course I knew it would end up with 525,000 houses all over the world. Of course I didn't. I mean, how could I possibly think that?
So what was it every single day that you focused on that kept you motivated and moving forward?
I guess I was single-minded.
Single-minded?
Yeah.
Single-minded on reaching the goal? You didn't take no for an answer?
I guess that's right. Right.
If you were to summarize what it is that you want future generations to know about you, what would it be?
That she was a woman who cared.
walks in our doors. We want them to feel like this is a home.
Oh, so sorry, friends. Give me a moment. So let me see. Where is that? Put that down. Not so loud. Let me see. Oh, yes, this was the book we was going to read. We're going to read. Give me a second, shall we? Give me a momento. Oops. There we go. Like it's taking too long to come off. All right. So, friends, I'm going to let you know right now. To be honest, I am more awake than I thought I would be, but I am tired. I am. But champion going to go the distance, okay? Because I actually have some really good books at the end. So I want to go the distance, see this thing through to the end. All right, now the next funny book I want to read is called this book is called Meanwhile, Back at the Ranch. Now, this book is funny. It is funny. Meanwhile, Back at the Ranch by Trinka Hakes Noble. Pictures by Tony Ross. Rancher Hicks lived out west. As far as the eye could see, there was nothing. Not even a roaming buffalo. So nothing much ever happened. I think I'll drive into town and see what's happening, said Rancher Hicks. Want to ride along, Elmer? He asked his wife. No, I've got to dig potatoes, said Elmer. So Rancher Hicks climbed into his truck and drove 84 miles to the town of Sleepy Gulch. He stopped at the post office to look at the new wanted posters, but they were the same ones that were there 12 years ago. Wow. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the cat had just had kittens in Elna's sewing basket when the phone rang. Hello? Miss Elna Hicks? Yes. Miss Hicks, you have just won a brand new wall-to-wall frost-free super cool refrigerator with a built-in automatic food maker. Why, I never, exclaimed Elna. The delivery men are on their way. With an automatic food maker? I would like to see that. I would like to see that refrigerator. Meanwhile, back in Sleepy Gulch, Rancher Hicks strolled on over to the barber shop for a whisker trim and to hear the latest gossip. So what's new, Bob? Asked Rancher Hicks. Well, back in the spring of '49, we had a rainstorm you wouldn't believe. Why, it rained for pretty near the whole 5 minutes. Folks thought it never stopped. Nothing much been happening here since. Wow. 49? Sheesh. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the dog just had puppies when the postman came up the drive with a special delivery. Elna opened it. It was her great aunt Edith's will. It said, My dear Elna, I'm leaving you my entire estate, which is worth a bundle. Your loving great aunt Edith. P.S. Enclosed is a winning lottery ticket. I didn't have time to cash it in. So Elna cashed in the lottery ticket and put new siding on the house. Then she added a new wing for the wall-to-wall refrigerator and a new den for all the puppies and kittens. Wow. She did all of that while he was away? She is a very resourceful old lady now. Meanwhile, back in Sleepy Gulch, Rancher Hicks moseyed on over to Millie's Mildew Luncheonette. I don't think I would be eating there. What's on the menu for today, Millie? Well, we got potatoes mashed and potatoes fried and potatoes boiled and potatoes baked and potatoes roasted and potatoes stewed and potatoes scalloped and potatoes steamed and one egg. Sounds great, said Rancher Hicks. I'll have one of each with a side order of fries. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of potatoes. That is a whole lot of potatoes. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, all the pigs had had piglets. Elna finally started to dig potatoes. She struck oil. The oilman came and gave her lots of money. They started 8 new oil wells and an oil refinery that day. Elna took the money and had a very stylish sty built for all the pigs and piglets. How long was Rancher Hicks gone now? How long was he gone? Wow. Meanwhile, back in Sleepy Gulch, Rancher Hicks headed over to the general store to check out the checker bin. Howdy, boys. What's new? Well, Bernie here just got a king, and it only took him 2 weeks, said Kurt. And I just jumped 2 of Kurt's men in a little over 2 hours, said Bernie. Wow, what a game, said Rancher Hicks. I can't wait to tell him. Wow, there is really nothing going on. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, all the cows had calves when a silver limo swung into the driveway. Out jumped the Hollywood movie producer and his hairdresser. Elna Hicks, I'm going to make you a movie star. So Elna went on a diet and lost 20 pounds. The hairdresser dyed her hair blonde and painted her lips red. The movie producer gave her a script, a bikini, and a large stack of dollar bills. So Elna had a glamorous cow palace built for all the cows and calves. And she studied her script. How long was Rancher Hicks gone? I need to know. Meanwhile, back in Sleepy Gulch, Rancher Hicks started to cross Main Street when he saw it. Amazing, he gasped. Folks ran to see it. Incredible. A crowd gathered. This is big news, really big, said the newspaper editor. We'd better wake up the mayor, said the sheriff. The mayor came. Why, I've never seen anything like it, said the mayor. So he declared it a town holiday. The whole town watched it for hours and hours until finally a turtle crossed Main Street. Really? Really? Meanwhile, back at the ranch, all the horses had colts when the president's helicopter landed in Elna's yard. Elna Hicks, he said, you've got the finest horses west of Washington. I'm making you a diplomat. Please deliver 2 of your finest horses to the Queen of England. The president paid Elna for the horses and gave her a diplomat's diploma and an autographed picture of himself. Don't forget to vote for me. Elna took the money and had a very stately stable built for all horses and colts. I want to know how long Rancher Hicks was gone while all of this is happening. Meanwhile, back in Sleepy Gulch, the sun began to sink slowly in the west. Rancher Hicks felt bad that Elna had missed all the excitement, so he stopped and bought her a box of Cracker Jacks. This will make her day, he said. Then he climbed into his truck and drove 84 miles back to the ranch. Elna met Rancher Hicks down by the mailbox. He gave her the box of Cracker Jacks and told her about all the excitement. Shoot, I miss everything, said Elna. Then Rancher Hicks turned around. What did he see when he turned around? What the hey? How long were you gone, Rancher Hicks? Meanwhile, Elna opened her box of Cracker Jacks, and inside she found a diamond ring. Wow, if Elna isn't the most lucky and blessed person ever to set foot on the face of the earth. The end. Yeah, you see, Rancher Hicks, he passed out when he saw, you see his little feet in the air. Well, my friends, listen, this is what we're going to do. So, I want to be able, okay, to keep it together for the last block of time. So, I'm going to sign off right now, and I'm going to see you back on here at 4 a.m., okay? I'm going to persevere. I know I drifted off a few times, but hey, this has been a 24-hour thing, right? And guess what? Miss Hope can't have caffeine. So that caffeine may have helped, but Miss Hope can't have caffeine. But I stayed up all this time with you guys, okay? I did that with all of stayed up pretty darn late with me. Thank you so much. You are so awesome. So, what I want to do, I'm going to sign off now, and then we're going to come back for the last segment of the Miss Hope's Reading Hour 24-hour Read and Raise-A-Thon. Okay, so maybe it wasn't exactly 24 hours, but it was darn near close. So maybe next time what we're going to do, see, I'm already thinking about next time because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm excited. Okay, I'm already thinking about next time. We'll have many more people, okay? And we'll be doing this maybe on a bigger scale. See, I'm already getting excited about that, okay? Well, while I'm gone, if any of you are early risers, guess what you need to do? You need to donate. You need to donate. Okay? So I will be back at 4. Not playing. I'm going to be back. All right? So I will be back at 4. I will sign off right now because I want to be a little fresher for the last block of time. Okay? I will see you at 4 o'clock. Until then, let me close my eyes for a little bit, and I will see you right back here at 4 o'clock on the Miss Hope's Reading Hour 24-hour Read and Raise Read-A-Thon. See you at 4 o'clock.